Hi, welcome back. Initially, I was going to name this episode Fuck Around and Find Out. I was going to talk about things where I've learned my lesson about fucking around and finding out. But as I started actually listing the things I wanted to talk about, I realized that I was taking not a fuck around and find out direction, but more of a I guess we'll see what happens mode. So that's probably what I'm going to name this episode. I guess we'll see what happens. That's been the overall tone when I have chosen how my life is going. Not a lot as a child, but my first story of I guess we'll find out what happens did actually happen as a child. During one of the rare times that I was able to make my own decisions. I did have a strict upbringing, very strict, yet very confusing because I was shown things that weren't strict, so I was shown untoward behavior, but I was told that was incorrect behavior for me, if that makes sense. So I lived abroad from 2nd grade to 5th grade. About halfway through 2nd grade to 5th grade, we moved to Germany. And during my time there, I had some amazing experiences. One of those times, we took a trip to the mountains. And I don't know exactly where it was. I'm guessing somewhere around Bavaria because I remember going on Black Forest tours. And we went to tour Neuschwanstein Castle, which to date is my favorite jigsaw puzzle because it's just so pretty. We toured cathedrals, but we were mainly there for a skiing trip for a week. And every day I went to the little kids ski class and my mother went to the adult ski class. That's how it was supposed to go. But instead, I went on tours. I wasn't interested in skiing. So I skipped ski days on the bunny hill with all the other little kids, and I went on tours to the castles and to see the forest, which was probably my first taste of rum was on that trip. I think it was rum, I'm not sure, but I remember we were on a bus tour in Bavaria. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. Going to all of these cuckoo clock shops, because that's where I guess originated, cuckoo clocks, and just amazing scenery. I wanted to experience that. So we were on a bus tour, going to all of these little shops and seeing how cuckoo clocks were made. And my mother bought these chocolate balls. And I think she just thought it was Bavarian chocolate or something. And we were on the bus eating them, and my little chunky behind definitely was partaking of the chocolate. And I am sure I had probably 1 or 2, maybe 3 before my mom ate one. And it was liquor filled. And it was too late because I already had it. So anyways, that was probably my first taste of, maybe. I had a lot of booze in Germany. That might be a different story. But the point is, on this trip, I skipped a lot of the ski sessions. Instead, I went on the tours. So on the last day on the slopes was the big mountain. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So we went up the ski jump and the lift, I don't know, all of the things to the top of the mountain. And all the kids started skiing down. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And I think that was my first thought of me making a conscious decision that I guess we'll see what happens then. Because I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Because the ski instructor was very worried that he had children popping down the mountain and he wasn't there with them because he was up at the top of the mountain trying to convince me to go down. So he had to make a vital decision. Does he go down with the 20 other kids, or does he stay at the top with the one little fat girl who says she's not going? Because I said, I'm not going. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm just going to stay here. I guess we'll figure it out. And he left. He skied down the mountain and left my ass at the top of the mountain. I was probably in 3rd grade, so I don't know. What was I? 9, 10? I'm not even sure. I stayed on the top of that mountain by myself in the snow, crying. I don't know how long I stayed up there. It wasn't days. It probably wasn't even hours. It was probably more like 15 minutes. Maybe 20. I just stayed on the top of the mountain crying. Because I guess we'll see what happens was that I wasn't going down that damn mountain. I ended up getting rescued and the guy got in a lot of trouble. But that was my first instance of, I guess we'll see what happens. And that has followed me throughout my life, that I don't like to gamble. Like in a casino, I'm not giving my money. I'm not. That to me is just ridiculous. That's boring and that's a waste of money. But with life decisions, I'm quick to just say, okay, well, what's the worst that could happen? I haven't always been that way, but when I think about it, I've done that a lot. One of the big things was after my divorce, I decided I wasn't going to have any regrets, and I started dating a guy, and I took him home that night. The first night, the first date, first meet from someone online, and when I say online, I mean on Adult Friend Finder. For those of y'all that are a little bit older, you'll remember what that was. Yes, I took that man home, and we moved in together 3 months later, and we purchased our first home together 2 months after that. So yeah, within 5 months of meeting someone, I made a major life financial decision. So I was just like, everybody told me not to do that, that was insane, that he was just out for my money. And though we are definitely not together, that was one of the best decisions of my life, because he and I are still friends. I'm even closer friends with his wife, and they have asked me to be the godmother to their children, and their family still lives in that house that he and I bought together 13 years ago. Yeah, I was just like, I guess we'll see what happens. On the other spectrum, I moved in with a guy, Nick, 4 to 5 months after dating. And that was a disaster. That was quite a disaster. We started dating in August. I moved in with him officially in February, and I moved out May 1st. That was a disaster. So that was not a good, I guess we'll see what happens, because I lost a lot of me in that. A lot of me that I'm still trying to get back. I think the last major, I guess we'll see what happens, is what brought me to be where I am now, in a very, very, very rural part of the desert in the Great Southwest, as Art Bell would say. Living essentially in a trailer on a homestead. And that was sleeping in my SUV, camping in my SUV. I turned my SUV into a mini RV. And initially I took weekend trips in it. And then I just put all of my things in storage and moved in. I left my job. I left the city I'd lived in. I left my entire support system. I left my form of income. And I just said, I guess we'll see what happens. And here we are about a year and a half later. It's crazy how a short amount of time, so many things can change. And I'm glad that I have taken the I guess we'll find out approach, because most of the time there's no fail or win. There's just a new adventure, a different experience, a different path. And for some of those paths, I am so grateful that I took that leap. Some of those paths I regret. But I hope that my will is never broken to continue being curious and wanting to see what happens, because it's been an amazing up and down journey to this point. So with that, I'm going to end the episode. I think I might have run over on this one of 10 minutes. We'll see. And if you have any questions, I think there's a feedback option, or if there's a specific story. I just have so much to say, and I'm not really sure a cohesive way to put it all down, so I will just use this format until something works out. I guess we'll see what happens.